Yeah. This is the order. Thank you all for coming and being prompt. Appreciate that. They call this meeting to order. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or changes? Afterwards. Okay, then that one. We have three public. Two. Anything that you would like to add?
Well, I was invited here to answer questions, so I was right now, no.
Okay. Mike? Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. And approval of the minutes for April the 3rd. Second on that? Second. Toby? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They may. They're approved. On here.
Do you want this one? No, I'm good.
Thanks for coming in.
I'm sorry, I'm.
Okay, first thing on the, for discussion is the self. I've also seen it as, self-rule, things like that. I don't, did you see this?
I did.
Did this, okay, it's on the self-organized counties. It's a very interesting document. I'll talk about it, a couple things that, out at me. On the, second page, where it says self-organization is accomplished. Everybody knows what self-organization means. How is it accomplished? It says it's a very simple procedure. I'm not sure anything is simple. It says where the first bullet point, the whole board adopts an ordinance invoking the authority of the author of the state statute 59-.10, filed with the clerk and the secretary of state.
Hold on. Let me make sure.
You know what? It says it's still recording, but it's flashing off of my screen. We lost it up there.
It'll go back.
Yeah, I didn't bring my phone. I'll run up there and grab somebody.
Sorry.
There we
go.
Okay. Oh, meeting's over. So that's where I want that. Thank you. Oh, now it's fine.
Yeah, let's
Alright.
try again.
Okay, thank you. The reason this is important is if we are going to go in and change things with how the compensation is going to be figured for the supervisors, we may want to do this self-government on that. Otherwise, it's done by statute. And all we can do is maybe change the number on it, but if we need to change anything like that, we also have briefly discussed that committee chairman might get a different rate. And that would be something that we would have if we want to go to self-organization. So that's the reason we want to just briefly discuss that, and I asked Marianne to come and talk about this also. But the second one is farther down on that same page. It says as a summary, and then below that it says note. In the absence of self-organization, the controlling statute regarding compensation of county board members are these as quoted. And this is very interesting. This I had to read a couple times, and I'm still not sure if I got it right. The compensation, the next paragraph, each supervisor shall be paid a per diem by the county for each day he or she attends a meeting of the board. And then it goes on and says, any board may at its annual meeting by 2/3 vote of all the members, fix the compensation of the board members to be elected, to be next elected. The annual meeting is in April. Is that right?
No, I think the right way to look at that is the annual meeting is considered to be adjourned from month to month, so all our meetings are.
Oh, is it?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
I talked to Mary about it.
That's a good point. Do you concur?
Actually, I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say the annual meeting is at the end of April or the beginning of May.
Okay. So, okay, yes, yeah, and any board may also provide additional compensation for the chairperson at that time. So there's a couple things here, and Karen, you had a question first.
My other question was, sometimes you call this self-organizing and self-governing, is that the same thing?
Yes, self-governing, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know, is it?
self-organization. It
We
is
use both terms, I just wonder
self-organized
which one.
rule, and I've heard it called the rule. too.
But not self-governing.
No, not self-governing.
No,
that was,
self-governing is not,
okay, you did say self-governing,
I'm
I was confused, I just thought, okay, where are we,
I
okay,
think he misspoke.
okay,
Thank you.
all right.
So discussions on this.
I would like to hear a little bit of the legality of it from our attorney. That would be.
So I did some research. And what led to this was it being said in the past that the county board had little control over its own affairs and policies and procedures when compared to villages and cities, which operate basically under constitutional home rule laws. So as you noted, there are provisions in the Wisconsin statute
There is. It's you. It's.
Just stand right there.
Keep your rest of your elbow on that little remote. That's pretty nice.
Oh,
Stand up, Julie.
I'm gonna go ask.
just
What do you think about that weather out there?
Nobody's taking notes.
What there's for.
Is it going away from her, actually, when that happens, just this.
I think so.
Laptop too.
What is the-
Oh,
So it's not this.
Is anybody out on Zoom? You don't? They may be the only one you know what they're doing. It's nice.
It is- You push on her, for things, maybe it's loose. Yeah. You know, sometimes
Sometimes
it's
the
an easy,
sometimes the easiest,
yeah,
there it was.
maybe
That's
down.
it.
Oh, I did ask one back. We're the only participants.
yeah, that was it.
It's like going back and forth.
Yeah, there's no one on Zoom.
No, okay.
But we have to make sure it's right for recording.
Recording for
No, it's there.
I think it might have been loose,
And it hasn't done it since then.
Cable.
maybe, well, I don't know. You might want to stand by.
Yeah, come sit down, see if you.
Yeah,
Your
Your
oral
magnetic
affects it.
personality is somehow involved.
Okay, we're back.
So, so as you've all seen, the provisions in the Wisconsin statute allow self-organization, give county boards flexibility, and if you're self-organized, there are 3 areas, as you saw in the handout, that allow you to review things. Namely, setting the member compensation, setting terms for supervisors. Now, we have a situation where all of the supervisors are elected in even years. There could be a vote for setting staggered terms where half are voted in an odd year and half are voted in an even year. And then the other issue is filling board vacancies. Right now, if there is a vacancy, basically the county board chair decides, takes resumes, interviews people, and then his decision he brings to the county board and says, do you approve of this decision? Now, if the option is to go self-organized, you would basically pass an ordinance saying Winnebago County would like to go self-organized. If that happens, that does not mean automatically there are going to be staggered terms for supervisors. They're going to take the power out of the county board chair to fill vacancies. The same issue with compensation. On each of those, what the board would do, and this is my legal recommendation, is you bring each item, whichever the committee wants, to the board and says, should we do staggered terms? Should we have a situation where the county board chair doesn't fill vacancies in the middle of a term. Should we review compensation? So again, it's not an all or nothing situation. You would have 4 pieces of legislation. The first to become self-organized. And then again, my recommendation would be to have individual, if the committee so chose, or commission so chose to have individual pieces of legislation for staggered terms, for compensation, for filling vacancies. And basically then what happens is the Secretary of State's office maintains a file of all ordinances passed by counties enacting their self-organized status, but it does not exercise any ongoing oversight of the county's use of such powers. But once the self-organized status is obtained, the board is not required to enact ordinances enabling any or all of the provisions under a certain time period, meaning, oh my gosh, we've got to get this done in 30 days or 60 days. You do not need to do that. I also reached out to the Wisconsin Counties Association because the initial material I had said that there were 45 self-organized counties out of 72. Well, scratch that. It is now 52 self-organized counties out of 72. And they range, from going back 1974, that was Diem County. And the more recent ones during COVID would have been Door County in 2021. Door County, oh, and wait, there was another one, Washburn. Washburn was added to the list also. So those are the most recent ones. So certainly the lion's share of counties have decided to go self-organize. It gives you more flexibility. And that's basically what my research has found. I certainly welcome Director Pollard if he has any other thoughts on it.
Well, I certainly have no reason to disagree with anything you said. It's pretty clearly laid out in statutes. My experience has been that it's a fairly routine administrative matter for the county board to pass such an ordinance. Just to give a little bit more flexibility. There's a statute providing administrative functions to counties. Counties don't have general plenary powers to pass all sorts of legislation regarding the public. Those have to be tied to a particular statute, but for organizational things within the county, or has a much broader authority than that. It's just helps exercise a little bit more clear.
Anything else?
Just more and more people are becoming aware of it now, or more county government. are
I
coming over
think,
that.
I think it came to the forefront during COVID, quite frankly. I think that brought the matter to a head.
And what would it take for a county to go either from self-organized, not being self-organized, to being either way, what does it take?
It's very simple. All you need to do is do an ordinance, bring it to the county board. The county board approves it by a majority.
A simple majority,
Well, according to our rules, it's a majority of members present. The documentation here talks about a majority of membership. But according to our rules, on anything regarding ordinances, it's a majority of the members present.
okay.
And then the paperwork is filed with the Secretary of State. Julie does that. And then we go from there. And then the next step is if your task force decides that we want to look at the per diem issue, then you guys have discussions on that. And then there would be a separate piece of legislation for that. If you decide you want to have, address the issue of, again, staggered terms or filling of vacancies, you would address that as well. Again, I absolutely recommend you do it as separate pieces of legislation.
I agree, I think that's good advice. And once again, I was only looking at that for the per diem, the other stuff, that's for another committee to deal with, I think. I don't know. Do you have any comments that you would like to say on that as the chair?
No, not as far as that part, I do have some comments, so if we're going to go. Like say, if you went ahead and the chair, whether it be me or whoever, goes ahead and picks out the person, like we'll have to pick out someone for Supervisor Norton now. If you wanted to go ahead and have a special election for him, I'd have to ask Julie, but how long would it be before you could have a special election, and what's that gonna cost you to have that special election? So it's just the pieces that, it's not just this, it'd be, when you break these all down. There's a lot of questions on the pieces.
That part is not at my forefront at all. I'm just looking at this just solely for the per diem section. I mean, that's something, if the board would wanna do it, for me, that makes no
Right.
difference to me at all on that part. I don't know, but for per diem sake, I was just thinking of the entirety of the per diem section.
But it
That
does
would give
open
us
the
more-
door to that.
Yeah,
Does open.
Yeah, because it's very restrictive. If we don't, we have to wait till the annual meeting just to get it on there. You got 10 new people. No idea what you're doing. At the annual meeting.
the annual meeting is coming. No, the annual meeting is right around the,
April.
right.
24. Director Collard and I might have a difference of opinion on that.
Karen,
So back to what Tom said, if we were to hold a special election to fill, for instance, Supervisor Norton's seat, then would everything that needs to be filled at that time run? So then would Julie have to run for election for her seat that she's simply filling? Or, I mean, what would that mean if you decided to hold a special election? Would everything that's up need to be,
I would think it goes to
No.
the next election.
It would only be for the opening on the board.
okay,
And again, that doesn't happen if you pass a general ordinance to become self-organized.
Mhm.
That only happens if the board says, we want to pass an ordinance regarding filling of vacancies.
okay.
But this allows you, again, this gives you flexibility. Director Collard and I agree on that.
Yes. Okay, yes.
I guess under the present system, we can basically change the pay for the county board chairman, we can change the pay for the committee members, just like we have in the past,
Before the new members
before the
take,
new members are seated.
yes,
So if we could continue on with this, and they could change the structure after the new county board would be set in 24. I mean, I think we wanted to address the per diem. I mean, I think our chairman is grossly underpaid. I mean, the chairman in Outagamie County gets 14,000, ours gets 5. The supervisors get $5,800 and $25 per meeting. I don't think there's a supervisor here that makes 4,000. And, I think we have an issue where some people are taking meetings that some people feel they shouldn't be taking a per diem for because they're not assigned to that committee. We wanted to address that issue. So it's a matter of what issue you want to address first. If you want to basically self-organize and address that issue and let the rest go to the next county board, or you want to address the per diem issues now and get the more or less the rules and regulations on what is acceptable to take for a meeting or what isn't. I mean, the way it works right now, you can basically be on 5 committees a month. And if you are on more than that, you're gonna get kind of shot down in April when you run over your committees. So it's like, I would think those are the pressing issues that we want to address, to have a structure of what is actually an acceptable meeting to take a per diem for. And I think that's one of the issues why this was brought up, because there's people taking meetings that some people feel they shouldn't be taking. And that was why this committee was formed, and I would think that would be one of us.
And I would think that we would have to, if that's the direction we want to go, we're gonna have to send it to judiciary. And they will have to present that to the board. But that's something we could do at the next meeting. We could do the documentation on that. Yes.
I didn't want to form this committee just to deal with that part. I was thinking of the overall structure. And the only reason why I brought up the self-organizing and I sent it out to you guys, it wasn't for that reason, because I know that would be handled in judicial or wherever. The reason why I did is because we don't have that ability if we want to go, for example, salary. We don't have that option with how we have it at this moment.
That's good.
That was one of the reasons, the way that we're structured at this point, we can't go that way. If we do this, then we have those options to look at different ways. I didn't want to form this committee just for raising salaries for everybody. That was not an intention. I wanted to review, that was always my intention, to review what's going on. How do we mainstream? How do we make it easier in the county clerk's office? Because right now they're going through, they have to go through every single one of our things, and there's 36 of us, and they have to go through every single committee and make sure that everything is on the straight and narrow. I'm doing this because I was trying to make it more streamlined and more efficient for us. It just was apparent that some of those things were being abused. And they were, because we had someone making way over $3,000, over 10 when you calculate it. So, that's what, that was just kind of a side thing. I just want to make this more efficient. This gives us the tool. Once again, the other stuff that's on there with sorry, I just got this brace thing and I can barely speak. I'm getting it fixed on Thursday. I sound like I have a list continuously. I literally, the other stuff that's on here, like for the county board, the chairman to be able to do that, not on my radar. That's something that a board can figure out later. It doesn't matter to me. And then the other thing was filling vacancies, and then the compensation, and then staggered terms. Whatever with the staggered terms. If we want to deal with that later, fine, awesome. But I just wanted to have more flexibility when trying to make us more efficient. In literally to work with the county clerk's office with the stuff that they deal with. So that was my only concern.
Okay. Is this the right time to talk more about the process that the clerk and the chair of the board go through, or is that in 7 or 8?
Probably farther down.
Okay. Then I'll just say thank you, thanks everybody for bringing this information about the self-organized counties together. It doesn't sound as scary as the adventure did abstract of this document and in your research, especially hearing that we're one of the few that don't sounds like it's not stepping out as far. I agree, not really interested in talking about those other 2 elements, but very, in light of what discussion we will have, very interested in thinking about the stipend or salaried, route, and something that reduces some of the administrative overhead on the program.
Yeah. This is still just a discussion. Can we initiate the starting of the rule or not?
You could direct court counsel to draft an ordinance to become self-organized, and then we could bring it to your task force at the next meeting and then go forward to the board, depending on what the task force decided. So I could draft something.
Considering time is of the essence. how do
Yeah,
we
it
do this?
really is, and we have to
Yeah.
keep talking about for Diems too, like what you were saying there.
And maybe we could schedule a presentation for the board. I think.
That would be.
Wait, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, not at the board meeting.
But no, I mean, and I say that because time is of the essence. If this has to be done.
Yeah.
According to yours, not Mike's purview, I'd love for it to be Mike's better than your purview, just FYI.
Yeah.
Because that would make it a lot easier on this, but if it is your purview, then we need to figure out. How do we get it done that quick?
Well, we can certainly draft an ordinance if you have a task force meeting in the next couple of weeks. Then you can go to the board presumably in May.
And I believe they got a special orders meeting in May, so there's 2 county board meetings in May, so the first Monday or first Tuesday in May, we could have it.
Okay, because I thought it was the 27th of April, that's why I was freaking out.
Let me see.
What day is it?
For the special orders is May
Yeah.
3rd.
May 3rd,
Yeah.
That's always.
okay.
But you have to get things to our office a
That's
week and a day before. So whatever a week and a day before May 3rd is, which is maybe that's where you're getting April 27th.
Mhm.
Is that the?
That's the 25th
Oh,
of April.
so that's a week from tomorrow.
Now, do we have to vote on that? Is it, does this task force have to vote to have you initiate that?
I don't think, you can certainly vote on it and say we would ask Corporation Council to draft an ordinance for our consideration.
Would somebody like to make that?
To make a,
Proposal?
I guess, a proposal, how would do that, a draft to encourage or to ask that common council to draft,
Self-organization,
to adopt or draft something for,
an entity, Winnebago County to become a self-organized county and a separate ordinance. Well, you're gonna wanna deal with the salary component.
Yeah.
What do you don't have the specifics of that.
No. we're not
So
there.
your first piece is to become a
just
self-organized.
self-organized. That's all I wanna think about, yeah,
We're making a motion on that?
yes. What she said. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
When is your next meeting?
Yes. I don't know. I have down in pencil May 1st, but I don't know.
Well, if we're gonna do that, we're gonna
Yeah.
have,
Well, you have a
That would
meeting
be
on
2
May
weeks from
16th.
today.
You have it on May 2nd, like May 3rd, you said? Is the special orders meeting?
Yeah, special orders is May 2nd.
Okay,
but we don't have to do anything else
No,
before that then, because we
Well-
got,
the first step is to become
yeah,
self-organized.
right.
right,
But either way, if we don't get, if the board does not approve the self-organized, we still have to work about.
which will be
per
May
diems.
3rd.
Yeah.
Well, assuming you have a meeting,
May 3rd is a Wednesday, we're not doing that.
May 1st.
Because I've got a Wixom meeting out of town.
Okay. Sorry, is that May 2nd? May 2nd
May
or May
2nd
3rd?
is the orders. Special
May
orders.
2nd is the Tuesday.
That's a
Yeah.
regular county board
Yeah.
meeting.
May 2nd.
Yeah,
Yeah, May 1st would be, if we're on a 2-week schedule right now, we would be May 1st here.
So do we have to approve that before we go to the county board meeting? So
That's
we have to meet like on
yeah,
the 24th?
yeah.
So we
That's
have
what
to
I
meet
was-
on the 24th
That's what I was
next
thinking.
Monday,
Okay.
to approve that.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't- Yeah,
So if we have a meeting next Monday at noon, and we could approve that, then if Tom would be nice enough to put it on the agenda for the special orders meeting in May, and then they would vote on it on the second Tuesday in May.
so we're meeting again a week from today.
If everybody could make that, that would, yeah, we could move it forward to the special orders meeting.
We may go into that number that you're talking about right here in the month of May.
because that's be in there a week and a day, we could do the 25th.
Tom, are you okay with that?
Okay, if it all gets in and it all gets written up and properly and everything,
Okay.
I special order. Don't have a lot on special order, so.
We got a presentation of the special order. I'm sorry.
The special order meeting.
My suggestion was to do a presentation to
Yeah.
give people maybe the same chance to ask questions and things like that we did, and then come back.
Yeah.
On May 16th.
For a hopefully cleaner,
Okay.
cleaner discussion and vote.
Because that helped, I think, her explaining that a lot.
Yeah.
was Really,
Yeah.
really helpful. And that would be nice.
Shouldn't take long.
Just even what you did
Just get
today.
one here.
That should be sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
being us, Cody.
Oh,
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
No, the only, again,
Yes.
everything, as I'm listening to this and that, I know we're gonna do this and that, but, you know, after Chairman Tom had told us, it's gonna open up some more doors, it sounds like. You gave me a list of things that could be changed, and just being a new board member and how this year has gone about every little thing being changed, that I know it's a good thing to do, but I'm just worried it's gonna open up a whole bunch of doors for more people to pick at little things. I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind when you said that, when we we're talking about the list, is now instead of letting people do the job they've been doing, we're doing right now, we're gonna start picking at certain things, like, no, I don't want them to do this, I want this change, I want this change. I mean, it just seems from the board that I've seen so far, that a lot of things get changed, and now we start picking at little things. This opens the door by doing this. We're trying to do the right thing about pay and stuff, but I don't wanna open up some more doors for more people to find, you know what I mean? And then there's always a chance that election comes up now. And can there be a sweep of 18 more people like last time or 17 or, you know, and then you gotta go over again. And that puts the pressure on the chairman because now, you know, all these things are being changed in it. And it seemed like this last year, we did spend a lot of time on, I don't know, I'm not trying to say picky things, but little things instead of really doing our business job. That's just my opinion. And that's what the first thing I thought is that this, by doing this, if it is the right thing or not. I mean, I just don't want to open up a bunch of picking at things. People are doing a good job what they're doing. We need to do our business. That's all I'm saying. So that's all I can say about that.
That's my comment to that would be is, it just seems this is the way of the future. I mean, there's 54 counties that switched this.
52. They're close.
52. So I mean, it's. This is the way that more counties are going. They're seeing more benefit to it. You have more control over what you're doing. So I think rather than, you know, basically be the last county to do it, we might as well get on the bandwagon and we can get some of this basically going before the next county board is seated and they can continue on if they so please. Nothing's going to change by doing this until we actually change it after this would be approved.
That's right.
You know, so nothing changes when we're self-organized, nothing changes.
Yeah.
They're still gonna have to vote on everything that you're gonna bring forward. All that's gonna change is you're gonna have the ability now to bring it forward, which you don't have now. So you're only giving more options to the county board. You're not taking nothing away. They still have control over if they want to switch. They may say they don't want to switch nothing and everything will stay the same, other than they'll be self-organized. Nothing changes until you bring it forward.
Well, the next question would be, you've been on the board for a long time, right? Pretty good. How come they never thought about doing it before? Why until just now?
Well, I guess I never really looked into the per diem as. You know, we basically changed it like 3 years ago. We used to get. I think it was $44 for a half a day, and I can't remember what it was for a full day. And I never really looked into the per diem until I got put on this
I'm not
committee.
picking on you because you've been on the board, but
Oh, no, but
You
I
have
don't
the
think
experience.
anybody was looked into. I never knew that 52 counties were self-organized. I had no idea.
Okay.
You know, because it was never brought up to me, you know, and when I got appointed to this committee, then I started looking into it because that's why I'm here.
Okay.
So it was. When I was sitting home in my chair, I would look on the computer and research. So then I got information on it, but there's so many things in this county I don't know anything about. But if you put me on that committee, I will work to find out so that I can be an asset to the committee.
yeah, I hear you. That's why I'm positive 2 years is way too short to be in this job. In a year and a half, I know there's no way. That's 2 years is way too short to know, because you know, if you make a mistake in this 2 years, you're gone. But there's so much to learn and you've been doing it for a long time, you know, I mean, and I'm not picking, I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff we're missing, I guess, but. And we gotta make sure what we're doing, because it's not us. It's the future people. You know, whatever we do now and stuff I've been doing all the time with highway and making decisions. We're making decisions for the future people, not us. So I mean, we can do it in what we think works right now, but. How are we gonna take it later on? And I wanna look farther, that's what I'm looking at, so, sorry. Okay, cool.
One last question on this, and then we move on. Are there any pitfalls to this? Going into this? Is the state gonna withhold money or anything like that? We're not gonna lose $20 million or something because we're not important about it.
Based on my research, I didn't see any
Okay,
pitfalls. The advantage is flexibility.
and that's huge. Okay. Can we move from this? Yeah, let's do that. Probably should have put 6 ahead of this, but anyway, communication shared by ad hoc podium. That's working up. Does anybody have anything? Nobody up there. Okay, number 7, Wisconsin's county's compensation for county supervisors. Thank you again for doing this. This really big list here. Of that. I broke it down to the 17 largest ones because I didn't want to be looking at counties that had some 2,000 people or 5,000 people. If that makes no sense. And so it's the 17 largest with just happens to be the threshold of about 93,000 people, so. Oh, I am, yes. So it's, I am the real cut and paste guy, I don't have Excel. So I had to.
You actually use that word glue.
Yeah, Scotch tape, I gotta admit, I'm old school, I used to have Excel,
You need one of these pens, these
Oh,
pencils, they're
yeah.
the best.
yeah, I still I need Excel for it, so. So anyway, the top 10 or top 17 on this, are probably the most relevant on that as far as, right now, we're talking about compensation for supervisors on that and what they have. And it's all over the place. Some of them, it's strange that they haven't put anything in there for like Kenosha. 171,000 people, and they had nothing to report, basically.
I pulled all the emails up online.
Yeah.
For some reason, they didn't report it,
Yeah.
but their county board chairman, I think, made 14,000 years. Committee members made 5,800 and something, they got $25 per meeting per diem on top of the 5,800. I'm not sure what that, I gave that to,
Shauna.
but, yeah, I mean, so some of them just didn't report, you know.
So I guess, are we going to be using this as a guideline, or do we have any ideas on, we're talking, now we're into per diem, more salary or salary?
And we have to also consider, there's a whole nother layer to this. I mean, we're looking at just numbers at this point. For example, I think I brought it up last meeting about, for example, Tom sits on, he's the chair, plus he sits on other committees. Right, he sits on quite a few other committees too, if I'm not mistaken. You have other 5 other ones? Three other ones, so 3 plus chair. And so I don't know what these chairmen are doing. A lot of counties don't, their chairmen don't sit on other committees. So we're looking at these numbers and I think they're great because they do help kind of guide, are we way out of whack? Are we the outlier? Are we kind of in the middle? Where are we at? And I think we also need, and it does have Winnebago's on here saying how much, but what are the actual numbers? And that's probably something from the county clerk's office we'd have to get, like, what are the actual numbers? Like, what is the average of our members making? Because we have these numbers, but we had some people that were going, yes, in April, they're not supposed to go over a certain amount, but we didn't see it till the next year, so therefore it was already being paid out, so it's not like you can go back and take their pay if they went over their amount that they were supposed to, correct? So we need to know like some actual, and that's what I would like to see at some point. Because it's hard to go forward if we don't know what the average of our county board members make. So, we might have someone who's, if we could take at least the person who's not taking any money, that person, I think we have like one person that does that. Is there 2 now?
There's 2 or 3.
Is there?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of hard to have that in there, maybe take the lowest amount that's getting paid to the highest amount and maybe look at it and take out the outliers. I think that would make it, that's just my opinion. I don't know what everybody else in the committee thinks, but I would love to see kind of that. And now, would that include though, I'll ask you guys, would you want included mileage in that? Or would that just per diem?
That would be my question.
Okay.
Mileage is IRS sets the mileage on it.
And that's actually a cost to you. The per diem actually is.
So, yeah, let's leave that out then. That's the question. So that makes sense and I agree with that.
Mike, is that something you would have at your fingertips?
I did a list of county board compensation in May 2022, a year ago.
That's amazing.
So I did it for the term April 2020 to April 2022. So I did a 2-year term combined. And it wasn't as easy as it should have been to collect this information, but I had to get a couple different reports from out of finance. And I did get the total mileage as well listed separately. The 2-year total Number of people were at about $11,000, which is about maximum. People like exact numbers. See, I see one at $125, that obviously is the person that doesn't put in for it. I see one at 600, those are below it. Most people are in the $3,000 to $6,000 range for 2 years. Anyway, I can share this with the group, or we can update it for the past year as well. It'll take a little bit of work, but we can get that done.
Yeah,
And I'm sure the mileage, I haven't looked that much at it, so
Then we could just avoid the mileage.
yeah.
it looks like 1,500 was the highest mileage for the 2-year period, about $4.83.
Julie, you just updated that, I'm going to your office now. Remember I had to rent it off, like it was this year that you guys ran it off. We handed it out because everybody was worried about the other ones were getting paid. We handed it off. I don't know if you were in or who did it, but
Right, I don't believe the dollar amounts were on there, that was just the days.
this meeting, that's right.
Yeah, but we're working on our year one, that I can help with that as well.
You did help me with one. You did help me with one a few weeks back, remember? I brought the last meeting, I talked about it, but she had, it was nice enough, Julie was, she went from 2013, showed what we had budgeted and how much we actually spent, all the way up to now, so you can see, I have the whole report she wrote, I didn't know if they counted miles, but it was pretty much, was it everything, or just, I don't think it was miles in there. But it had everything, how much, and that's why I said before, the average that I saw, that it went from $3,000 to $3,300 average person, not counting who does what or who gets more of what. That's what I had looked it up when I looked at it last time I talked in this meeting about it. So it kind of went up, this school year went up $300 from what it was in the past in 13. And it seems like it's 128, 119, 120,000, 120,000, 128,000, 119, 120, 120, 102. I don't know what happened that year. 111. So gives you an idea. Seems like it's pretty consistent in that 119 to 120 something for all 36 for everyone. And you can use this too if anybody likes that. Take that, sorry.
I'm assuming there are outliers in that one though.
What?
I'm assuming there's outliers. People who don't think anything.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know who they are. That's only just as a group 36.
No, that's good to know, actually.
Can you get, can show how much we had budgeted or the county board did or in our budgeting, how much it really gave. So
3,000 to 6,000. And what is Allegheny County? You say 5,800. Salary is 5,800.
For the county board supervisor, I believe it's $1,500 and $25 per day. The chair is 14,000. I'm not sure what the vice chair was.
You don't know what the county board members salary is.
1,500.
Oh, 5,800 wasn't it?
And they get $25 per diem per meeting, but the meeting has to be posted. If the meeting's not posted, like we had a grand opening for the daycare at UW Fox, and Yvonne attended that, but she couldn't take the per diem because it wasn't posted. Okay. So I didn't take the per diem because it wasn't posted either. It wasn't a meeting. They invited us there for ribbon cutting.
Yeah, right.
But I did drive up there and I put 34 miles on my vehicle and I did it because I wanted to be a part of it. Not for $50, that wasn't the purpose.
So it's $5,800 if you had the meetings, the $25, and probably talking about another $1,200, so $7,000.
Mr. Yeah, that lady had your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for Betsy. Is there were some counties where the county chair is not on any committees? Do we know how many counties are like that? Or do we know, or do we know if those are bigger counties or smaller counties? And where did you, since you seem to know that we do have Wisconsin counties where the county chair takes no extra committees, who are they? How many are there? What sizes are they?
I don't know the answer to all that. It was when I was at the conference and I talked to other counties. That's how I got that information because I didn't know that at that point. So when I was at the conference in the Dells, when I went last year, I was just speaking to other people and, the first thing you start talking about is where are you? How many members you have? And then we just had conversations, and that's when I learned that, oh, there's some people that don't. Their chair isn't on it. I'm not saying that that's the way we should go. I mean, I think he's a valuable source on a lot of committees. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just. When we're looking at salaries.
Cause it sounds like what you're telling me then is you're just getting anecdotal information. Other members of, did you actually speak to county chair people? And they told you themselves, no, we don't sit as a chairman, I don't sit on any committees, or did
And
you?
some, yeah,
Some-
when I talk to people, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
I talk to a lot of people, yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody else was at the Dells and they've had those conversations also, but I was surprised. It wasn't very many. I mean, most people, their county chairmen are also on lots of committees.
Okay.
I just
That's what I
worry
would
because when
assume.
I'm looking at salaries, I just wanna, there are some once again, that's why we need to have, a lot of communication with the committees structure also, because they are doing that work. When they're looking at committees.
The chair are looking at the work, is that what you're saying?
No, the committee, the committee task force, the other task force that is kind of parallel running with this one. They are looking at that kind of stuff, like if we do a committee restructuring and say there's, I don't know. 8 committees as opposed to, how many do we have now, 13? 13 or whatever, they're looking at all that stuff. And that's why it would be very beneficial if we had, we were in constant communication with them too, to see what they're finding. Because that would help us make, recommendations in our committee, if that makes sense.
Just one more point, Darren, like the county board chairman, if somebody's missing like a personnel finance, we had a person missing, Tom can fill in, Tom can vote on any committee if there's a member missing, like we had on the buoys, we were a 4-4 split. So Shiloh attended the next meeting, and then it came to be a 5-0 that we went with a different contractor. But the county board chair can sit in on any committee and he has the right to vote in that committee. So even if he has no committees on this list, if you know that you're gonna have a close vote and you're gonna need that extra vote, you ask the chair to sit in on your meeting and he has every right to vote in that meeting.
Yeah, I personally not opposed to the county chair sitting on heavy committee assignments,
No, that's not what I meant when I was saying, I'm looking at salaries. If somebody has a huge salary on here and they are also sitting on committees and so forth. That makes sense why they have a huge salary, but if we're looking at one of these and their salary for the chair, the county board chair, and it's like nothing. That might be the reason. I'm just trying to assimilate and figure out what these numbers mean. I'm not saying. I think he's valuable. I think he should be on committees. That's not what I'm saying. And I asked him to sit for my spot when I'm not there. I've done that a couple times now. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just thinking of these numbers and what we're seeing. If we see someone on here that's making, I don't know, $30,000 more than our county chairman, why? I'm just trying to evaluate the numbers that we're getting, the data.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Just now what you're saying, now that we're talking, is there job descriptions? I mean, is there an official one?
Well, I'm sure there's job description.
Because we talked about this at a board meeting not too long ago where someone would run for a job, but they didn't know what the job was. Like if somebody, I can't remember what it was, but if they wanted to be the vice chairman, what are your duties? What are you supposed to do? I didn't know. And then as a chairman, what does it entail? Oh,
yes,
I can tell you, in your rules, it talks about powers of chair and vice chair. Under paragraph 5.
Okay.
So, it says the chair of the county board, this is 5.1, or in his or her absence, the vice chair shall take the chair at the hour to which the board may from time to time stand adjourned. Chair shall be responsible for the present preparation and order of the written agenda. So there's something laid out.
Yeah.
If there is a specific job description, I'm not aware of that.
No, we've never done job
Yeah.
descriptions. It's county
Yeah.
because it's determined by statute and board rules.
And I understand that, and I guess, again, being as a new supervisor, when you look at all the stuff you do, there's more than what you think you do. And I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, so we're talking about pay for people, okay?
Yeah.
So for me, and when I was in business, to verify or to justify increases or changes is, hey, he's doing this, but doing more. This job entails this, but no, it's taken on more now to do this job. If you're gonna be a supervisor, you just can't come to every meeting and then just get your per diem. You gotta do more things. And a lot of people don't know that. And I got to be honest, I didn't know when I came in this job. I thought, hey, you go to a few meetings over. There's no way it's even that. And to be able to be knowledgeable, this job takes more. So we're talking about pay and what people have to expect and do. And I know the chairman does a good job, I'm just saying, but they do more than we think they do. And I think the people outside there in our community have no idea what people do. So every time something comes up and we talk about paying somebody more, or giving some more, they have no idea. They just, well, we just hired a guy to do this. But what does that person do? And the more they do, the value is there. And that's what, we're talking about value in that. And we're trying to make a decision about committees or per diem or what everybody's getting. Are they doing what they're supposed to? But if there's kind of like, nobody knows what they're supposed to do, there might be a few little things in there, but what do you really do, And that's why you'll probably see one person that maybe this is a professional job that goes to every meeting because he wants to know as much as he can. Is he doing the wrong thing or is he doing it for the right reason? As opposed to another person that doesn't go to meetings, maybe misses it, takes excuse and doesn't come, but he just wanted to be elected. He's misusing his job. And so that's why I asked about job description, because whenever you go back to and increase someone's pay or tell them that this isn't working out, you gotta have a reason for it. You just can't say, and that's on track. Yes.
I mean, for example, your question, the reason why I asked that question is because we have one person here in Dane County, for example, that got 53,000. And then ours is only making 5. And if anything, I'm looking at those numbers like, why? Why are those numbers so different? I mean, he goes to everything. Anything.
Dane's a much bigger county too.
But it is, okay,
Okay.
so let's go to the next one. You've got a 30,000 for marathon, which is less population than we have.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? I just wanna know why. I mean, this man goes there, literally, he comes to our PNF, you're on most places that I'm at, and I'm like, and he's doing all his committees and he's doing all the prep for his meetings. So, 5, it just seems
5 is low.
quite low, yeah, for all this.
5 is low.
I would say. But I just wanna know why, when I get data like this, we gotta know why. You can't just say, okay, let's take the largest number, and the lowest number, and then we're just gonna do an average and give it, we need to know why the hell someone's getting paid 31,826 in Marathon County.
They got 38 supervisors, we only got 36. And the
Yeah.
county board supervisor making 6,800. I made $3,900 last year. That's what my W2 said.
So I just wanna know, the reasons behind it, because we're making some pretty big, and we're gonna be putting forth a lot of stuff, and I wanna be secure in my knowledge of why these people,
I value every vote.
Exactly. There you go.
I just wanted to add a couple things, like, say on the chairman's here this year, whether it would be me or whoever, but it is me. They're doing the recodification this year. There's a lot. Sometimes there's 2-3 meetings a day, or you go to one, the next one won't show up, so you go back home and then you come back on that, but there's a lot of them meetings. But that's one thing I wanted to bring up on the chairman's this year. Another thing that always bothered me is with these Zoom meetings, if you can come to them Zoom meetings, even though you're not part of that committee, you're still getting paid for it. Which I just don't think that's right, because, if you're part of that committee, that's fine, but just to sit there and then put in for per diems, I just started, I wasn't paying for them, and then I get questioned, but, that wasn't right, I didn't think.
I agree.
maybe if there's one presentation, they're answering questions of a resolution that they're putting forward. I get that.
They have a
Right.
reason to be there, but there's a lot of them that just come to watch.
Kobe.
So I just got a question on that a little bit. So if I put in that I went to the PNF committee, do you you go look at you're probably there, but
Not always.
you know what I'm saying? Like you verify the attendance that comes through
Yes.
and then you pass it on. And can you ballpark for us, how long does that take you?
Well, it depends if they all get in or not. I just signed some more.
Let's say you got 36 and everybody got theirs in on time and you sat down to do all 36.
It don't really take that long usually. Well, if I don't do it on the clerk's office, I'll go up in my office and I can easily go through it in an hour easily.
Okay. And, are there any like rules that you have, that you follow for that, or it's just sort of, you know, I said this was important for me to be at, so I put it down and that's fine, or?
I know most of them that should get committees and who's really interested in. There's some that, you know, they're just gonna show up and I finally just start crossing out or, the clerk's office sometimes know them already and, I've gone back and looked even at some of the tapes already just to make sure why they're there. And if they spoke and something to say, I don't do that on all of them, but some of them I do, yes.
And is there anything about that process that you would recommend that we, this task force, you know, look at and consider, to sort of crystallize a process, like a per diem process that works or that would be effective, for somebody less capable?
I would just say right out that even though if you're watching the meeting or whatever, don't put in for per diem or whatever, because you're not going to get it. And just, like I said, some just come for, they had nothing else to do, so that's what they would do there. Whether they thought so much in the county or whatever, so that's what it was.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if I answered the question.
That's helpful. I appreciate that.
You know, myself personally, I basically watch your park view. I've never taken a park view meeting. I attend the ARPA meetings. I never took one. I'm not on that committee. I don't take the per diem. I was basically interviewing for that health educator at UW Extension. That meeting wasn't posted. I got there at 8:30. I left at 3:30. I will not take nothing for that. That meeting was not posted. Tom couldn't verify. He could verify I was there for basically 8 hours, but I won't take per diem for that. You know, it was not a posted meeting. If the meeting's posted and I'm on that committee, I've been to this twice. I'll take my 2 per diems for this. It was posted. I'm on this committee. I will take it. But when I attend other committees, even though I'm interested in them, it's because I'm interested in, I'll never put them down. And I won't put down like the ribbon cutting for the daycare, the interviewing for the job. Even though I spent 8 hours interviewing, it wasn't a posted meeting. I didn't have to do it. I could have said, no, I'm not interested in doing it. They would ask Karen. She filled in last time because I was busy. I missed the ARPA meeting this last Friday because I was at the interviewing till 3:30. But I just think as a rule of thumb, if you're not on the committee or if the meeting isn't posted, you shouldn't take it. It's pretty easy. You know, if the meeting's posted and you're there, take it.
But you're saying what you would do, so we obviously have people abuse this.
Right, and they should.
So that's hence the reason why we need to, you know,
Yeah.
sure that up and get that fixed.
Support.
Invited by the chair of that committee to speak up.
Right.
If you're, like, I had 3 people come in here today. And I've never got, when I go to meetings and I'm not invited, I don't, it's just, had a good time, Jim. So,
Yeah, I went there to learn something and I'm interested in it. I was interested in Parkview and I'll continue to attend your meetings until I see the resident count start to go up and, you know, the CNA is basically being filled and then I'll drop off. I was interested in the airport until we built a new terminal. I was attended almost every meeting for a year. But then everything started going good and there was no point in me being there because I had nothing to add to the committee. You know, but if I feel I can add something, I'm not out to get $50. I could care less about $50. I'm out to basically make the county a better place for, you know, the people that live here. And I think just as a rule of thumb, if you're not on a committee or it's not posted, you shouldn't take it. And maybe that should be written into the rules so everybody understands that when new supervisors come, if you're on the committee that's posted, take the per diem, you're entitled to it. If you're attending something just because you want to learn something, well, it's kind of like going to the library, you know, you're doing it for your own benefit.
I would support. One of the things on this, we were looking at the salary or the salary plus per diem or combination thereof on that. I value every person there of the 36 at the meeting, and to be paying somebody who's decided that this is a waste of their time and they're not going to come, to be paying them whatever it is, pick a number, $4,000 a year. It just really drives, I would suggest we would put more emphasis into what the per diem amount is than going into a salary, and I may be a minority here on. Just my feelings.
Are we talking about compensation structures at this point? Is that
Yeah,
on
that's,
that?
yeah, we're still on 7 here. Compensation for counties, but
I mean, I think we have to look at everything. I mean, we can't just say no to salary, and we can't say. Gotta think that we've got grown adults that are 36 people, right? They don't show up to the job, then. Voters should vote them out, I mean, but I don't know, I mean, it. Once again, we have to look at the efficiency for Julie in their office though too. It's not just us. It's an overall we need to be looking at. I mean, that was of my opinion is, how do we streamline this? I mean, if you do pay someone a salary, if they're not showing up.
That doesn't always happen. We had a director who was elected and kept being reelected, who spent most of his time on a vacation out in Hawaii or someplace, farming out his duties to somebody else. I wasn't gonna say, but yeah, yeah. I was not gonna say, but yeah. And so he was, and they kept being reelected because the department was being run fine, but not by him. And he kept looking for more and more compensation for looking at heads and ditches. I mean,
It's hard, I know, and I get
And
that.
so
There are
that's so-
people that aren't gonna do their job, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it's. What do you, I mean, just, it's something that we need to look at though. I mean, I mean, it's worked a lot of places, I mean, we've got a lot of people that are employed that are salaried. I mean, it's not that. People don't, I mean, you get a few outliers, of course. But I don't know, I may be the minority in this, I don't know, but I think we should look at everything.
I like that salary. I think that.
you do like the salary?
I like
rather
the salary,
than-
and my theory is, we all just had a salary, it wouldn't matter how many committees you're on. You know what I mean? Because
Well, that's.
myself, I can only take basically. If you take 5 meetings a month, that's gonna give you your 60 in a year. And this month I'm gonna have 8. I'm not gonna be able to take them all. Because I'm not gonna be one of them in April where everybody says, well, look at her, he's got way too many committee meetings. So I have to keep track of my meetings, so I don't go over my 60. And if I had a salary, I could basically. Not have to worry about how many committee meetings I attend or keep track of them. You're gonna give me a certain per diem for every month, and I should be. If I'm on here wanting to do a good job for the county, and I should attend my meetings and. But I wouldn't have to worry about writing them down, they would take care of that, they would know, you get a stipend every month, this is what you get. I would just claim the mileage, and if we wanted more committees, what would the difference be? There's no more cost. So it's like when we formed these last 2 committees, it was about Tom, he's gotta pay for these 2 committees. This month we had basically, probably gonna have either 2 or 3 meetings, because we have to meet before the special orders meeting. So this month cost Tom $150 for each one of us to sit here to do this. Where if we were on a salary, it wouldn't cost them nothing.
Mr. Chairman. So just a quick count on the handouts that we received, and I'm sure there's probably missing salaries on some of these.
Yeah.
But I count 9. So 9 out of the 72 counties at this point, I'm sure there's more, have a salary. So this is a, new
Yeah.
idea. And I am for that simplicity. I hear what you're saying about what if somebody doesn't do a good job? But that is what the election process is for, ideally, and just to get them out there, And I think the reason why we do want to go to meetings, without being paid at times is we just want to answer to our constituents too. We have people to answer to, but I just want to mention 9 for the first count.
So we can get this put ahead on this for next 2 weeks, when we meet again. Look, a week. yeah.
1 week.
We're gonna wanna do, let's see if we can get our arms around this. Start putting some numbers out there. For salary and for per diem. Get some agreement on.
Another thing, I just want to take a comment is that we got all this information, it's great, okay, and we don't know without being in those counties, how they work and why they got whatever they did. So we use that as a reference, and then put that away, Because then we gotta look at our people and the value of our people and the position of what they're doing.
Mhm.
And I really believe, and again, I keep going back to supervisor, that when you run for an election, you have no idea what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. And there's supposed to be value in it. When you're applying for a job, you gotta know what that job is and what position and what opportunities are there. And I think if we, in any position, we're gonna talk about increasing. And Mr. Chairman, if we do him, we have to have a plan of why we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Why are we going to salary? And a salary is more responsible than a per diem. Because to me, the per diem people, and I didn't even know when I first went, I went to meetings, I didn't know I was supposed to collect this, and Julia said, yeah, you are supposed to. I didn't know that, I mean, no one told me. And then there's 2 or 3 other people, yep, I go to everyone because I get this and I get this. Wait a second, I was going because I wanted to learn, I had the desire. But someone's going to get the 50 or 100, whatever it is, okay, so I saw that and I didn't was surprised. But if you do have a salary of some kind, you have a responsibility. And I think if you put a salary on a job and the election's coming, it makes it more important for that committee or for them to be voted in because he's getting paid so now. Because right now, nobody knows what we're getting paid. I talk to a lot of people, how much you get paid, you probably get big bucks. No, they have no idea. But if they know that we're getting an established salary, each one, and our responsibilities are 5 meetings, belong to 5 committees, do this, you gotta do. And you're not gonna just do it by doing the minimum. You need to do more. You wanna run for that job, that's up to you. People vote you. But I think that'll mean more.
Okay.
That's what I'm just saying on that. And just talking from a person that just got into it, knew nothing about any of this. And I learned everything, and I just can't believe how many people don't know, have no idea, don't care. And how many people would like to if they knew. So that opens a lot of doors, and I think this is the area that our people, forget about the other counties, because they're gonna mess us up. But what do we have value here, and what value we want to put for now in the future, for our kids and our families, and people who want to rise up and be part of this? I think we have to consider.
I was on the school board for 12 years and, I didn't know, it's very hard to find. It's very difficult to go on sites and to figure out who gets paid what. And I'm sure you felt that if you were trying to find these numbers. I mean, they're not easy, right? Just to do that. I just was on the school and all of a sudden I got a paycheck. I'm like, oh, so apparently I'm getting paid for this too. Found out I was getting paid $3,500 a year. Unless I was a chairperson on that committee. And then I got like a bump for being on that. Other than that, I had no idea. So, I mean, I don't think that's very uncommon that a lot of people don't know. I mean, I think if you like, when, for example, finding this research and doing this, I mean, Mike has special privileges on some sort of site, him and Mark do. So that's why they were able to get this information for us, but it's not easy to find. And, so, yeah, but I agree. Once we get this settled, it'll be nice. Be nice for Julie, be nice for all the new people for new orientation to say, this is your template, this is what you're gonna get paid, this is it, you know, come and be done. I think that'll be really nice to get for future board, because you were talking earlier about, not for us, it's for the next
Yeah,
people.
you know, what we're talking about in a year can change like it did this last year, you know? And that's, you gotta look at what we're doing that affects a lot of other people. We have to make sure we do the smart. How we didn't do it before is beyond me, but we're at it now and we have to build a good structure for the future generations of people around this board.
Could not agree more.
So let's schedule that for when it happens, we'll discuss next week on that. Last item is it's really basically the same thing as the 7th supervisor compensation plan. I think I had that more for the committee chairs. We're going to address that. At the same time, I think we should. I think committee chairs do an awful lot behind the scenes.
Yeah, because you got an organized meeting, you got an orientation, you got a plan on how you're gonna do it, you talk to her, it's up to send to us, so we know what we have.
And many of them meet with the director.
Right,
That's
not
part of
just
it.
real quick,
Yeah. It's a matter of director, what's important to you. Director, so you have to consider that. Maybe not next month, later next week, the following on that. Anything else? So, for the next meeting, what are we doing the special orders, we have to do that.
24th to the 25th, we gotta meet, because, here's the agenda, and I'm good.
The 24th at noon.
Yeah. What is it?
Okay.
The next meeting will be on the 24th.
That work for you, Julie?
That's what I was trying to, can you see if this room's
I'm sorry.
on your calendar, sorry.
Should be quick and dirty because we're just gonna be doing the self-organized, right?
Yeah, we can
That's
just do
it.
that.
That's
Okay. And then keep the compensation plan for the following meeting.
That's not your cat.
Well, I will say, I came into this meeting thinking that going to a salary base wasn't a good idea.
Hmm.
That people could be picking up salaries who got elected, and not doing the
Yeah.
work. But, it actually may be more fair in that you can attend stuff. You know, if you happen to go over 1 month or under, it balances out. And also it may make Tom's job easier in doing. He doesn't have to go through and review, take meetings, recorded meetings, you know, did this person actually, did the person say anything? It would free up some of Tom's time. You changed my mind, but I thought, this. Stick with it for Diem, but I think maybe this is a good idea.
Yeah, in county clerk office too. I'll go back to them. Sorry, I bring you up a lot. You attend a lot of meetings and you have a lot on your plate. Was Monday the 24th?
Yes,
That
it
noon
should
okay
be
for you?
That's fine, we just want.
So that's the next meeting, and we want to do 2 weeks after the 24th then? Right.
Eight.
The 8th? The 8th,
Okay.
and that will, I'm gonna move the compensation, the salary versus for Diem discussion till the 8th.
Great idea.
Yeah, we can have too much time.
Already. Organized, and it's all we need.
That's very valuable. Anything else?
I didn't say anything about availability on the 8th. I can be available on November.
24th?
You need me on the 8th?
I don't
No,
think so.
that's
I think you're-
Unless you wanna come.
I'm smiling face. Okay,
Well, if they have her, because that'll be already to the board to decide if we're gonna do that, right? Or not.
next week.
Or do- okay.
We're gonna do the ordinance.
Okay.
And then assuming you folks vote for that, then there's gonna be, assuming the chair agrees, a presentation to the county board on May 2nd.
Okay.
On becoming self-organized, and then the vote on May 16th. Is that right? Yeah, assuming
I thought there.
it works with the
So it'll be 2 weeks
correct
after.
agenda, yeah.
All right.
But again, oftentimes, things have to be fluid to a certain extent, because what we didn't think was an emergency might all of a sudden emerge, as you all know. So again, it depends on things, but that's the plan, at least that's my understanding as we sit here today.
anything else? Need a motion, somebody,
So moved. Second?
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Close this meeting. Thank you all.
Today.
We have to get that done.